In this video, we're going to cover classrooms. By default, when you sign in, you're going to be on the classrooms page, and this is where you can see all of your active classrooms. If you do have classrooms that are no longer being used, you can easily archive them just over here, and that way they'll just be hidden from view. Just for example, I can show you all of the classrooms in my institution, but if all of these are not being used anymore, it just makes sense to keep it on the active view only, and that way it's a little bit less cluttered. If you want to make a new classroom, you can simply click the Add Classroom button, and the first screen is going to have some details about our classroom. So we give it a name, and you can tag a location that is going to be associated with it from your Locations tab. You can also assign a skills template to the classroom just by picking from all of the templates that you've made over here. You can also select the clinical log template. So once again, from the template section, these will populate here. And then you can set the number of required hours for this classroom rotation. So for example, if we needed 80 hours, we would just say that. We have a few additional settings, such as enabling student AI. So when students are submitting their SOAP notes, AI can help them draft notes. We can also disable or enable preceptor AI, which will automatically help preceptors standardize feedback and grading for student submitted logs. And then we also can turn on or off location verification, which is a code-based verification just to make sure that students are indeed where they're supposed to be when they're clocking in and clocking out. On the next screen, we can select the students for this classroom. By default, you're going to see all the students who are currently in the system via the users page here. If you need to add more students, you can either add a student one by one just by clicking Add Student, or you can import a list of students right here just for this specific classroom, and then they'll automatically be added to the system and selected. So once you select your students, you go over to the next tab, which is preceptor selection. Once again, we're just going to tag the number of preceptors. If they're already in the system, they'll show up here. If you need to add more preceptors, you can either say add preceptor for one by one or just import a list of preceptors here. And then the final tab is the schedule for this rotation. So let's say that this is going on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're going to do maybe 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. or something like that. So we could say 3 p.m. and then our start and end date. So we can just select when this rotation started. Let's say this was like August 20, and this would run all the way to, let's say, December 20 right here. And now we can save this classroom. Once a classroom is made, you can always edit these settings again just by clicking in the Actions menu and editing Classroom, and then you can edit all of this information. For example, if you didn't have the locations or the templates made yet, you could still make the classroom and then come back and tag it later. You can also pull up the schedule information just by going to the Actions menu and hitting Schedule Info. And if there is information, you'll see it here. And you can also add this to your Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, Apple Calendar, just so that you know exactly when you're supposed to be on for this rotation. You can also view the verification code simply by going to the Action menu and Show Verification Code. This will bring up a 4-digit code that students have to enter to get a verified start or end time. You can change this as often as you'd like to avoid code sharing between students. You can also duplicate classrooms if you need to reuse a classroom. For example, if the same students are going to be going over to their next rotation, it might be easier to just say duplicate classroom, and then you can always change the details. Whenever you're done with the classroom, once again, just archive it, and that way it's out of your view, and then it won't show up throughout the rest of the system, but the data will still be there if you ever need to pull a report. And that is a look at classrooms.